What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Leadoff Show. Hope you had a good weekend. If you played any of the slates, I think I was about 50-50 on the slates. I played both slates Saturday and Sunday, and I think I'd go about win-loss all weekend. So about an even weekend for me, but excited to jump back in here. Mondays are always a good slate. We usually have a good number of games here. There are for this slate there are a bunch of like 6-10 games. I think Draftkings has like a 3 or 4 game turbo slate. Yeah, I don't know why all these games start just before 7, so they get taken off the main slate here, but that's all right. We're just gonna cover the main slate on Draftkings, so we can go ahead and jump into it. Make sure you're only looking, like I said, at the Padres Mets game, and then later I think there should be 8 games tonight on this slate. Real quick, just checking the weather. No weather concerns at this point. Just a note on the Padres Mets game, having cool wind or cool temps, but wind out at 10 miles an hour. So we'll be able to check the games as we go, see if there's any helping wind. Yeah, you can see here the wind's going out. So all right, let's go ahead and get started here. We got Padres Mets. Yu Darvish versus Max Scherzer. 3.45 total for the Padres, 4.05 total for the Mets. We've seen both of these pitchers really kind of off to slow starts this year. I don't know. Scherzer's the most surprising, I would say. Darvish, we've kind of seen a slow decline really over the last several years. So I'm going to be out on Darvish here in this spot against the Mets. Just kind of a low strikeout team, and he really hadn't shown much promise so far this year. So maybe this is somebody we can kind of wait and see as the season goes on, and maybe catch him in a better spot. So yeah, he kind of had a rough start against the Diamondbacks here. Scherzer, on the other hand, is just going to depend on how much you trust him. I mean, long-term data, he's in a great spot. He's a great pitcher, but man, this year he's had 2 rough starts so far. That Marlins start, he ended up with 20 points, but it still didn't look like himself. And the Brewers, he gave up, I think, 3 or 4 home runs that game, with some pretty terrible hitters as well. So if you can afford him, he's definitely worth consideration. He's probably the top projected pitcher on the slate, but I mean, man, he's has not looked good so far this year. So I'm a little down on him compared to some of the other pitchers on the slate, but I understand if you can get back to him. And this Padres team is a pretty nasty lineup as well. So with hitters in this game, Padres might just be home run hunting here against Max. If Grisham is at the top of the order, I like that. He's been hitting well lately, and then Cronenworth as well. And then of course you can always take Soto anytime you can get him. Carpenter's if he's in there, I like that. Cheap lefty against Scherzer. So there's a couple spots. I don't think I would full stack against Scherzer. You're really just home run hunting and trying to find that guy that's gonna pop one off of him. The Mets, probably out on a full stack there as well. I don't know. Darvish is definitely susceptible to getting blown up, but he's also good enough to really limit damage. I'd be surprised if he got gave up 4 or 5 plus runs here in this spot. So probably out on the Mets. I will say maybe a couple. I'm trying to see if there's any one-offs here. I mean, Vogelbach's really cheap. A lot of righties at top of the order, pretty expensive. So yeah, probably off on the Mets as a full stack, but I wouldn't fault you for that. Maybe just a couple guys here and there is all I would go with. So let's move on to the next game. We have Reds Braves, 3.75 total for the Reds, 5.25 total for the Braves, 61 degrees, kind of a crosswind here. Ashcraft had a great start. First time out. I'm kind of surprised he's just now pitching again, but 7 innings against the Pirates. I think he had several strikeouts as well. 6 Ks. So, top prospect for the Reds, but he had a tough season last year. That first start, I saw that he made some adjustments, so maybe we'll kind of see his success continue. This is a tough spot. This Braves lineup, of course, is stacked. Well, the top of the order is stacked. The middle of the order has been pretty terrible so far this year. So I'm probably out on Ashcraft here in this spot, but I do understand If you're buying that pitch change you made, then maybe, but probably on him. Bryce Elder though, for his price, 6.6K, makes for a great play right now. I think the only problem with him is he's less of a strikeout pitcher and more of just like limits hard contact. So his upside's a little bit limited. So that's a little bit of a concern, I would say. But I mean, for that price, I mean, it's gonna be hard not to go to him, and then you can really afford some of these top bats. I expect Elder to carry a lot of ownership in this spot, and for good reason. Though, I mean, look at this Reds lineup. Who really scares you over here? So Elder's definitely gonna be in the mix for me as a SB2. Hitters, I'm gonna be out on the Reds. Even if Elder doesn't, put up a huge fantasy day, he probably still limits this team for the most part. I could maybe see going Friedel, but I mean, look at Fraley, 5K. I mean, that's crazy. So he'd be a guy I consider if he was, 3.5K or something. But I'm probably out on the Reds. The Braves, this bottom of the order has just been off to a terrible start this year. Rosario's been awful. Ozuna's had 2 hits and they're both home runs. Arcia and Hilliard have been fine. If I go Braves, I'd probably go some combination of Acuna, Olsen, Riley, Murphy, Arcia, Hilliard. I take 5 of those players and just kind of do a wraparound stack. I'm just kind of foregoing Albies, Rosario, and Ozuna in the middle here. I don't mind grabbing the bottom and then wrapping around to the top. Ashcraft's, I think, worse against righties as well. We can check. Yeah, he got hit really hard by righties last year, so I wouldn't be afraid to play Acuna and Riley and Murphy in a spot like this. All right. Move on. Next game, Mariners Cubs. We got Luis Castilla, 9.6K. Drew Smiley, 7.8K. Mariners are our favorites here. Have 4.5 run total against 3.46 for the Cubs. Castilla's obviously in a great spot here. We do have a little bit of wind blowing out to left center here, so I mean, but only 6 miles an hour. That's not too much of a concern here. Luis Castilla is a great pitcher. I would think he's probably him. Scherzer are probably, combined for the top pitchers on the slate. With Castilla being a little bit cheaper, I could see him carrying more of the ownership, maybe around like 30% or so. And I mean, this Cubs team has a little bit of power that could get to you, but I mean, Castilla's just been great so far this year, and I would expect that to continue. Smiley, on the other hand, 7.8K. The spot against the Mariners, I'm probably out. If he was cheaper, maybe if he was like Bryce Elder's price, I might consider him. But at 7.8K, we're just not going to go there. Hitters for the Mariners, I do like the Mariners here. I think obviously with a little bit of wind blowing out, that helps. I think Smiley is definitely somebody we can attack. He's a huge fly ball guy, if I remember right. We can double check that real quick. All right. Yeah, 39% fly ball rate. So I wouldn't mind taking some home run hitters here against Smiley. You can tell a little bit worse versus righties, but kind of bad versus both teams. So Teoscar, look at this ISO versus righties. That's absolutely incredible. Or versus lefties, I'm sorry. So I'd love going Teoscar here. Suarez, if Pollock's in there, he's big lefty hitter. So I do like that. Full stack for the Mariners, maybe, if you can make it work. I can kind of check their prices overall. Yeah, a little bit high. You're going to have to mix in some of these bottom of the order hitters, which is perfectly fine. I think they make for a great spot today. And Teoscar and Pollock are 2 of the main guys to go with. Cubs, I don't think you have to go here. If you don't play Castilla, I mean, you could take a shot with like Bellinger or something, but I don't think you really have to go with the Cubs. If you don't play Castilla, just move on from this game and hope for kind of a middle outcome. All right, next game, Rangers. Royals 3.99 total against the Rangers 5.01 total. We got Zach Greinke 5.8K versus Andrew Heaney 7.9K. Greinke, I'm going to be out on. He's shown a little bit more strikeouts this season, but I mean, what's his top? I mean, I think he had a good start and he only had like 14 points. Yeah, so. He did get the loss. So give him the win, 18.7. I mean, you got to have more points than that from your pitcher, even if it is your SPT. At best, he'll get you 18, 20 points. So really no interest there. Heaney is definitely interesting. He should be good. That's the biggest thing with him. He's capable of super high strikeout rate. His pitch count, his pitch count has always been a concern, but he got lit up last start versus the Orioles. Yeah, 34% K rate. Royals do have high strikeout totals. They do have some good platoon players they can put in. Olivares and Reyes and Eaton, they'll put in there versus lefty. So that makes the lineup a little bit harder for a lefty pitcher going against them. But Heaney is in a great spot. It's just a matter if you think he can bounce back on. He definitely showed some concern in last start. I think his velo is down a little bit all across the board on every pitch. So it's going to be one of those things that if you're prisoner of the moment and you're really reading hard into that one start, then absolutely don't blame you at all for fading him. He looked terrible, but if you just you think he can bounce back and kind of give him a pass because it was only one start, you can go right back to him. I think he's going to be in the mix for me. There's a couple guys in this 7K range that I'm going to consider. So I think Heaney's in that SB2 range for me. I'll probably go Max or Castilla, and then Heaney, Gallen, Elder right there for SB2. And you can toss Julio Urias in there as SB1, but we'll get to him later. The Royals bats, like I said, Heaney definitely is susceptible to a blow up. I probably wouldn't go full stack here. I really just home run hunt with Olivares, Reyes, Bobby Witt. Probably just get a one or two of these righties. I could see if Heaney does carry some ownership, I could see going with popular stack and then somewhere else, and then just getting like 2 or 3 Royals on your team. I wouldn't mind that at all. The Rangers are in a great spot today, obviously against Greinke. They should carry the there should be kind of a tier 2 stack maybe, especially I think ownership wise we'll follow that as well with some of these other spots we have. So I wouldn't mind going here to the Rangers. Huge total over 5. Greinke just kind of limits damage. I mean, I could see him going 5 innings, 3 runs, 3 Ks. I mean, it's not good for Greinke and it's not good for the team he's facing. So proceed with caution a little bit there. Greinke doesn't seem to really give up massive run totals. And then again, if the roof is closed in Texas, I hate taking hitters here. So that'll be something we'll have to follow closer to the lock. All right, moving on, Cardinals, Rockies. We got a Coors game here, 74 degrees, starting to heat up a little bit. Wind basically, not much here. We got 6.13 total for the Cardinals, 5.37 total for the Rockies, 11.5 total is massive. Steven Matz, 7.3K versus German Marquez, 8.5K. Probably out on both these guys. We talked about Mackenzie Gore in Colorado a few days ago, but it was cold, and it's just there might be times we can play some pitchers in Coors, but I don't think today's is. It's starting to heat up a little bit, and these are 2 kind of average pitchers. They definitely have upside in different spots, but I'm out here on Matz and Marquez. Moving to the Cardinals, this definitely will be your highest on team of the slate. Prices are up a little bit on some of these guys, but they still have plenty of cheap guys in the mix to make it work. 2.9K for Burleson. Jordan Walker's cheap. Nolan Gorman's cheap. And O'Neill and Contreras aren't overpriced by too much. So Cardinals definitely going to be the highest on for good reason. The way I handle Coors is I just usually don't full stack it. If you full stack Coors, you're going to have to get different elsewhere. Maybe, I don't even know, maybe take Darvish against the Mets or something like that. I don't know. I tend to forego the full stack of the higher on team, and Coors is just sometimes they come in a little over on, but it's definitely going to be risky. So if you go Cardinals, you got to get different with your secondary stack. Maybe you do take maybe you go Cardinals, mix in a few Padres versus Scherzer or something like that, or get a couple Cubs versus Castilla to make it different. Rockies, I have a little bit more interest in them than the Cardinals. The Rockies seem to always have a little bit lower ownership than their opponent, just I guess being the home team, and their prices are usually a little bit higher. So I wouldn't mind gravitating to a few of these Rockies right-handed hitters. Really, just Bryant, Crone, I see Montero. You have Diaz, Tovar. So I think there's enough to make it work. Just keep in mind that even they'll probably be the second highest on stack of the day. Just with being in this Coors with this massive team total, but I do like the Rockies righties in this spot. We're moving on. We got Nats Angels, 3.57 total for the Nats, 5.93 for the Angels. We have Patrick Corbin versus Jose Suarez. Corbin 5.4K. We can make this quick. We're out on Corbin. Not in this spot here against the Angels, who have a ton of righties in the lineup. Ton of dangerous righties as well. And then the only lefty is Ohtani. So we're not playing Corbin. Jose Suarez is definitely interesting. This Nats team we've talked about doesn't scare me at all. Suarez is decent enough that he could be good here. I think you really decide. I could see him kind of in that Bryce Elder range, kind of right next to each other. We'll see if anything really stands out with his plate IQ. Yeah, 22% K rate, not super great. The Nats, though, as a team, are pretty high strikeout rates. I do like that. Looks like Suarez does struggle a little bit with righties, so I might have to kind of see how many righties they have in the order. Looks like all righties and switch hitters except for CJ Abrams. So I probably have Suarez slightly below Elder, but obviously he's in a great spot for the win here in this minus 255. So he'd be in consideration, but I'm probably a little higher on Elder. The Nats hitters, maybe a couple one-offs here. I could see going to some of these, maybe kind of in the heart of the order right here. Stone Garrett, Candelario, Meneses. Well, Meneses is 5K. It's probably on that. So really, Garrett, Candelario are interesting to me. 67 degrees, a little bit of wind blowing out. So I could see going to a couple of Nats. If you need cheap guys, and Suarez kind of starts carrying a little bit of ownership, but probably out overall. The Angels here, definitely one of the top teams on the day. Hopefully they come in a little bit lower ownership than Coors, but I think they're probably right there behind them. So we could probably see Cardinals as top owned, and then maybe Angels, Rockies kind of right next to each other as kind of a 2A, 2B. So love going to the Angels here. Really, anyone's in play. Just whatever you have to do to make it work. The price on Rendon is pretty cheap. Like I said, they just make for a tough team to stack at the top with Ward, Trout, Ohtani, and Renfroe all have an outfield eligibility. So you got to mix in a couple of these infielders here. So I could see Trout, Ohtani, Rendon, maybe like Renhefo and Ohapi. But I mean that the Trout and Ohtani fitting them in together, you're gonna have to get some cheap pitchers. So just see what you can work out with that team. But obviously in a great spot there against Corbin. All right, we got Brewers Diamondbacks, 3.94 total for the Brewers, 4.56 total for the Diamondbacks. Wade Miley 7.7K versus Zach Gallen 7.1K. Wade Miley, I'm gonna be out on this spot. He's a decent pitcher. I think he had a okay outing last start, at least limited run. Yeah, 6 innings versus the Mets, only 3 Ks. So we're gonna be out on him here. The price is too much. He shouldn't be more expensive than Zach Gallen. So if he was down in that mid 6K range with some of the other pitchers we have, maybe. But yeah, he's gonna be out here on Wade Miley. Zach Gallen's definitely interesting. He's a stud pitcher, but he's been off to a slow start this year. But I think he's had the Dodgers or the Padres. Yeah, so yeah. Had to start against the Dodgers to start the season, only 11 points. Padres next start, only 6 points. So we are seeing him. He got to 6 innings last start, so at least he's kind of going a little bit deeper. Strikeouts were down last game, so still will go back to Gallen in this spot. I'm just going to trust that the pitcher he's been the last couple of years comes out here in this spot. Hopefully that lowers his ownership a little bit with him struggling for a couple starts, but he should not be 7.1K. I mean, he should be up there, mid 8s, close to 9K when he's fully going. So definitely like Gallen here. If the roof is open though, which it has been the last few games, we've seen a ton of runs here, especially from the Dodgers Diamondback series. So I really wouldn't fault you going either way here. The Brewers do have some dangerous lefties in this lineup. Yelich, Winker, Tellez, and then some of these guys at the bottom have just been outperforming anything I thought they would do. So if you don't go Gallen, a couple Brewers wouldn't hate that, especially if the roof's open. So that's kind of going to be where I'm at. If the roof is closed, I'll be more chance I play Gallen. If the roof's open, I'll probably be leaning more to a couple of Brewers here in this spot. But still, it's going to be tough. I would mostly prefer just to avoid playing Gallen if that's the case, as opposed to taking a stack on the Brewer side. The Diamondbacks here in a great spot against Miley. Some of these prices are just really cheap. I mean, these guys. Marte's the only one over 4K. That's crazy cheap. So I love going to the Diamondbacks here. I've been playing them a lot lately. They just have so much steal upside. Even versus a lefty, I don't really care if he's looking at them. He can just watch them still right in front of him. think I nailed the Longoria call against Kershaw a few days ago. I, of course, didn't play him, but he did take Kershaw deep. So really like these righties here. Kyle Lewis is super cheap. You get Walker, Longoria, Corbin Carroll. I'll take lefty any day. I mean, you're playing him for, the 3 still upside. So I really like the Diamondbacks here, and they're very cheap. I think if you went 2 aces, you could afford a Diamondback stack here. All right, moving forward, we got Dodgers Giants, 4.05 total for the Dodgers, 3.45 total for the Giants. Julio Urias, 9.4K versus Logan Webb, 7.4K. Decent amount of wind blowing out the center. This San Francisco though was designed to limit wind, so really whatever way the wind is, just kind of I'd consider it maybe about a half of what it's showing. So 58, a little bit of wind blowing out the center. I'm probably out on a Logan Webb here in this spot. He's shown a little bit. He's shown signs of life this year, but this is just such a tough spot against the Dodgers. I don't think we really have a need to play him. I'd rather just play Gallen or Elder or Heaney or someone like that, as opposed to trying to take a shot on Logan Webb against the Dodgers. It sucks for him. He seems like he's had a couple tough matchups this year. I know he started the year off against the Yankees. So yeah, you can see only 6 points against the White Sox. So he's probably somewhere in between there is, kind of where his true talent lies. So I'm out on Webb. Urias is definitely interesting. We saw Chris Bubik pair up the Giants last over the weekend. So, I could see that another lefty kind of taking care of him here again. The problem with Urias is just the upside. I mean, he's not going to go. The Giants never let him, or the Dodgers, never let him go deep. He's a kind of 6-inning cap. If he's at 88 pitches through 6 innings, he's done. Whereas we'll see Cole or some of these other aces come back out, if they're sub 90 through 6 innings. But that's just not the case for Urias. He's, slightly below a strikeout per 9, I would say. I would have him right below Scherzer and Castillo for my ace. If you wanted to pay up twice, I could see him being your second ace to pay up for. But if I was just playing one ace and then one cheap guy, Urias is probably not the guy I'm paying up for. Giants do make it tough. They'll put a lot of righties in there against him. But, yeah, I don't know. The lefty has shown some promise against San Francisco so far this year, so that's something we'll just have to monitor. With them pulling Peterson and Yastrzemski and other guys like that out of the lineup, it does make them a little bit weaker. But like I said, I'd probably go Castillo, Scherzer for SB1. But if you want to pay up for 2 aces, then maybe you get Urias in there as well. Dodgers are definitely interesting against Webb. I don't love stacking teams in this ballpark. It is a big ballpark. So I'm probably out. And Webb, like I said, I wouldn't take him as a pitcher in this spot, but he is good enough to at least maybe limit the Dodgers some. So I could see the Dodgers maybe getting 4 or 5 runs here, getting 3 off Webb and then a couple off the bullpen. So I probably won't go with a full stack here. Definitely there's some guys that you can always take. Muncy can, hit it into the river like he did last year here in this spot. So, yeah, and then Outman's been off to a good start. Hayward has, shown some resurgence here with the Dodgers. So maybe a couple players here, but I'm probably off a full stack from the Dodgers. And Giants, I'm out. Even if I don't play Urias, he limits scoring enough that I'm going to be out on the Giants, and then the Dodgers bullpen's pretty good, so I'm not going back there. All right, just to recap, kind of went through it pretty quick today. I think your SP1s are Castillo, Scherzer, 1A, 1B. You just have to, it depends on if you trust Scherzer in the spot against the Padres, or if you think old man Scherzer can't handle the pitch clock, then maybe just go Castillo. And someone else, Urias would be kind of a secondary option as your ace. It scares me having him as your SP1 and then a cheap SP2 like Elder or somebody, because I just feel like your upside is just not there. But if he's your SP2 and you go with a cheap stack, I could see getting there. Some of these SP2s that are in play, I think we're really looking at Heaney here against the Royals. We have Bryce Elder against the Reds, I think is in play. And then Suarez against the Nats. That's kind of how, and Gallen, sorry. That's kind of where I'm going to be at. I think really just going to have to depend on the stack. If I can get a cheaper stack and I can pay up for 2 of Castillo, Scherzer, Urias, I might do that. If I end up on kind of a more expensive stat, maybe like the Angels, or of course some version of this Coors game, or maybe the top of the Braves order, something like that, I might have to go one of the aces, and then one of these tier 2 guys in like the 6-7K range. So, all right, that being said, I think that's all for this slate. Hopefully you had been off to a good start this year, kind of learning how to play. That's really kind of what I want to focus to, not just like, oh, this is the best play of the day, he's going to, have 10 strikeouts, but really, trying to build your lineup. If you do go with something chalky like Coors, you got to figure out how to get different elsewhere. You can't just play Castillo, Elder, 5-man from the Cardinals, and then, 3 from the Angels or something. You really got to, find a spot or two to get different and find that leverage. So hopefully you're off to a good start. Just continue to let me know what you guys want to see from these videos. I can focus on past slates more, or we can spend more time diving into Plate IQ or anything like that. So just let me know. All right, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the videos to know when I put them out, and just helps me out helping the community grow a little bit. So appreciate you guys, and I'll see you at the top.